Hey folks, I'm Sam. As introduced, I am here to talk about the National Police Data Coalition. This is a new project that we've gotten started in the past year or so, and I'm excited to talk to you about it today. So the National Data Police Coalition and the Police Data Trust Project is essentially trying to create a nationally scaled index that users can go to gain consolidated and concise, very engaging information about police misconduct and the perpetrators and the nature of these incidents across the country. The issue we're trying to resolve with this project is that a lot of the data that exists on these incidents is very disparate, it's very disconnected. A lot of the information can be not quite equal depending on the sources that we're getting. And so as we collect this data, we're working with different tools, whether it's our own scraper to collect it, whether it's some of our community partners who are helping provide this information. Across the country, different organizations already doing this work and collaborating together to make sure that we can provide it in a way that's consistent and as comprehensive as possible. Some of those partner organizations that we work really closely with is the Tubman Project here in Boston that is currently working on a artificial intelligence project designed to ease some of the burden that is on public defenders and sort of provide them the information that they need to do in order to complete their duty to their clients, as well as the Public Data Works project, which is in the axis of data and design, that's trying to make data useful to the public. And so really sort of leaning on the work that these organizations have been doing, as well as some of the data organizations that exist across the country. Citizens Police Data Project is outside of Chicago, is a really big partner of ours, as well as Mapping Police Violence, which is another nationally scaled organization. And so we are definitely not the first organization to be doing this work. And so really learning from our predecessors and the folks who have been doing this is really informing a lot of what we are trying to do. So as we approach this project, some of the major tasks that we've been trying to accomplish is focusing on our users and what information people are able to access. We are making a very public-facing application, but there are sensitive information that can be relayed in this project, and so trying to mitigate the access based on whether or not a user is a journalist or a lawyer and what type of information that they might find most useful in their use case. Also processing our incoming data depending on the sources that we get it. As mentioned before, a lot of that can have different, very different schemas, very different properties, and making sure that we're marrying that and cleaning it up so that it's useful and consistent across our application. And so with discovering that data, with analyzing it, and making sure that we're presenting it in a way that's user-friendly and engaging so that our users can get the most out of it. And in thinking of the users, we've been doing a lot of work around affected stakeholders and creating personas so that we can better understand them and their needs as they approach this project and what they might be looking for. The four main sort of profiles that we've been identifying is anyone working within police organizations who would want this information to better organize and better address misconduct as they have it within the departments, activists who are really moving for change in this area and trying to advocate for better legislation or anything else that might be able to help mitigate the issue. Lawyers who are working with incidents in trials of misconduct, as well as journalists who are trying to make this information available and get the conversation started nationally. And so as we're building this out and we're trying to move towards a MVP, we have a number of different views that we've been building. As we get closer to that MVP product, we are also moving towards user research. So as we continue forward, we're definitely going to be iterating on these designs, again, just to make sure that they are as engaging as we can make them. So this would be our landing page. So when the user first lands here, this is what they're presented with. We are toying with the idea of making everything immediately publicly available for the lowest level of data access, and then providing a sign-in flow after the fact. So that might happen in our next iteration. But for now, we do have a login flow and sign up. We are trying to make sure that we are utilizing reusable components and other things to make sure that this is very iterable and that we'll be able to refine this and reuse these different things as we refine the design. As mentioned with the different levels of user authentication, we do have what we're calling a passport account. And so this would be for journalists or lawyers or anyone else who would need further information than is available publicly. We gather a little bit more information about them to grant them the access that they would need. And then whenever any of these users are entered into the application, they're presented with this very dynamic map that they're able to zoom in on and explore like a smattering of different information, whether they're looking for particular incidents, or we can also search for particular officers that might be involved in an incident. We did do a lot of iteration on trying to figure out like what aspects of an incident or an officer the user might be able to come to the application with and what they would be most likely to search for, and presenting that in a way that is streamlined and not too complicated. And when they submit it, we are presenting it mainly in tabular data, as well as either zooming in on a particular location if we're looking for the incident view, or we are using a bubble map to present like particular officers that they might have in their results. And from there, they're also able to get much more detailed information about a particular incident or a full officer view so that they can see more information about that person's background and any other incidents that they may have been involved in. And of course, feedback and trying to make sure that we are really engaging our users in continuing to refine our data and continuing to refine the experience as well. And so as we continue to work towards the MVP, we do have our current project deployed to our development environment here. We definitely invite any feedback or anything that you might have, or any suggestions or ideas that you might have is definitely welcomed. Yeah, and that's all for me. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much for that great presentation on the National Police Data Coalition. Definitely appreciate all the hard work that group has been putting in with our project partner, remote primarily from Texas. So definitely love having folks from across the country involved in our Code for Boston projects.